You and Chris are going to be in here talking about God knows what.
Welcome to the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Retro Show podcast. I am your host, Butch Renfro, along with my partner in crime, best man at my wedding,
Chris
former
Curtis.
roommate,
Chris Curtis.
Yeah, and we're also joined today by Chris's brother,
The man,
the man,
the myth, the legend.
ladies and gentlemen. It's Monte Curtis.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, that's my crowd, man.
Not now, man. Monty's here, so yeah, you get it next time.
All right.
So guys, what's been going on, Monty? Dude,
Butch,
it's been a second.
a second, a minute. You know how
I know.
they say it's been a minute?
I know. So listen, like, what's happening? What's going on with you?
Man, I'm living in Peachtree City, Georgia, you know?
Yeah, you still coaching?
No, I'm out of coaching, finally. Yeah, the NIL and the transfer portal screwed everything up.
Ah, okay. So
Just to let you know, the NIL and the transfer portal is screwing everything up. But
oh man.
no, I'm in industrial sports medicine now. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, so
Cool.
go around and go to Costco's and Anheuser-Busch's and warehouses and, you know, make sure nobody gets hurt while they're working. And if
I can't
okay.
imagine you going to an Anheuser-Busch place.
I know it's shocking, isn't
it has to run your imagination wild.
it? You just can't imagine. Anyway, so Chris, what's up with you, buddy? What's been going on?
Same old, same old.
Same old, same old.
That's about it. I've been playing a lot of disc golf.
I know, man. You're big into that. Just so you people know, Chris is like into that. And if you don't know, let me go ahead and just let you know he is also known as Spotted Skunk Dyes. Is that correct? Did I say that? Yep. And give them the website that they can go to check out your and let's just call it what it is. It's art.
It is art. You can find me on Instagram under Spotted Skunk Dyes, or I have a guild. We started a guild, Ridge Runners Dyers Guild, and it's me and another fellow, Dashing Dyes. He does fantastic work also. RidgeRunnerDyersGuild.com to look at some of the stuff, and then you can contact us from there. There's all the information.
Yeah. Well, nobody asked, but I've got a new side project too. I'm selling shrimp from under an overpass.
Are you
over here?
Yeah.
How's that going?
It's great because once it goes bad, you just turn the sign around and it says fish bait. So it's just a win-win.
That's an enterprising.
I'm telling you, man.
You've got
I can make tens of dollars.
Talk about thinking ahead.
You got to find those hidden gems in the middle of your business.
That's right. So, guys, let me go ahead and just do a little housekeeping here. This is the Retro Show podcast. You can find out everything that's going on at retroshow.net, and that's where we have links to all of our social media. That's where we have links to all of the places you can consume this podcast, and it also has a link to shameless self-promotion. Also a link to how you can help the podcast. And basically what that is that if you decide to help out the podcast, Chris, did you know that they could be a producer?
I did, and I was going to bring that up a while ago, but you beat me to it.
Yeah, and so what that means is that if you sign up for a mere $3 a month to help support this podcast, not only are you just an exceptional human being, obviously you have good taste.
Going above and beyond.
Going above, it's less than the price of an overpriced coffee at some big national chain.
Yeah, I'm not mentioning that chain again.
Yeah,
We're
just not going to give them free advertising.
No, I don't buy coffee from there.
No. Listen, I can write my name wrong on a cup.
Are you guys talking about the Pilot truck stop?
Yeah, that's exactly Pilot. Man, you had to go and give it away.
Why?
Sorry.
Pilot.
I mean, this is why we don't have guests on here.
No,
I'm out of bounds already.
But listen, we kind of came up with things that we wanted to talk about today, and that's something that we all grew up doing together, and that is, jumping wheelies off of like building ramps
with the Hot Wheels.
But after that was concerts.
Sunday afternoon football games.
Sunday afternoon,
in Ty Gray's yard.
Broken collarbones all around.
Ty Gray's yard, yep.
Yeah, and Spotlight. You remember we used to do that too.
Spotlight and kick the can until
Kick the can
till
until
Kyle King fills the can up with gravel.
kerplunk. Yeah.
Mark Ballheimer come over and kick it.
Now we're just naming names.
Mark, you finally got in the game, buddy.
Yeah. But no, we grew up basically listening to music. Basically, a lot of it thanks to this guy over here, Monty, who
Which
turned
we've
me on to a lot of bands.
We've
just from
mentioned
riding
that several times in our podcast.
from riding around in the Highlander.
The Land Cruiser, dude.
The Land Cruiser. Man, I keep getting the wrong Toyota product. Yeah. I'm going to call it a Tacoma next time, bro. Or a Civic. No, it's a Honda. Yeah.
Was that your Land Cruiser, Monty?
It might as well have been.
No, really and truly.
It was Dad's Land Cruiser, Chris. Okay?
Would he tell you that repeatedly? No, son, that's my Land Cruiser.
Okay, Dad, see you later.
Yeah. Bye.
I'm staying over at Tipton's.
But
Rut-row.
I remember two of the first albums I ever remember hearing blaring out of there, and one of those albums was Cat Scratch Fever by Ted Nugent, and the other one was
Uncle Ted.
Styx, Pieces of Eight, and then Van Halen 2. I remember hearing all of those just blaring out of that, and being in there a couple of times while they were blaring.
Yeah.
So
We didn't get to go much with Monty.
no, we
really didn't.
We were the pesky little kids at the time. So
Yeah.
I took you guys to a couple of concerts, though.
you did later on, yeah.
You did. I tell that story to people all the time that our mother and father put 12-year-old me in a Mustang with 3 16-year-olds and a 14-year-old to go see Kiss.
I'll do you one better than that. I won tickets to see Ted Nugent on the Magic Bus.
This is a true
and I'd
story.
already seen him like 3 times. I'm like, here, Chris, you take the tickets and you go. He took the Magic Bus to Memphis.
Was it 80? Because didn't that
Magic
wasn't it-
105.
Yeah, but it's like one of their
It was
first big
Magic
promotions,
Bus,
wasn't it?
It was crazy.
Oh, that's insane.
Wasn't it?
Blackfoot
How old were you,
and
like
Ted.
10?
No, I was older than that. I was,
He was probably
I
like
think I was
13. Yeah.
You were too young to be.
It was me, me and Terry Rainey. Mom said, "Well, if Terry Rainey can go, you can go." Fantastic.
Isn't it funny how our parents had, like we all had these friends that they thought, well, they're just such fine young men if you hang out with them. And they were like the worst ones. You know, it's like,
You talk about an eye-opening experience. I mean, we had to sign this piece of paper saying we wouldn't bring any drugs or alcohol on the Magic 105 bus, man. And we pile on the bus, and it just looks like Cheech and Chong in the back.
yeah.
And,
Man, Led Zeppelin.
And then they stop and right out the first liquor store they could stop to outside of Little Rock and bought like 4 cases of beer for the bus and a 6-pack of Pepsi for me and Terry.
That's a great thing to do.
They were, man. I appreciated the Pepsi too.
Yeah, I mean, they knew you guys were too young to, but
Oh my God.
I'm sure it was a blast.
That was a wild night. It really was a
Who
wild
opened
night.
up for him?
Blackfoot.
Oh, great.
I never got to see Blackfoot.
Man, me neither.
I did. Hey, you could have, man. I'm just saying.
I know. I missed the boat on that.
But Ted came swinging out over the crowd in a
See, I'd already
loincloth.
seen that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Well, at 13, it was awesome.
It was an eye-opening
The
experience. at
Motor
that point.
City Madman.
Yeah. So, Monty, what was your first concert? Do you remember?
Blue Oyster Cult and Angel.
An Angel. Oh, my God.
You remember Angel?
Yes, I do. Greg Jafria, who came out of that band.
Barry
too.
Brandt, Felix Robinson,
Yeah.
Punky Meadows.
Punky Meadows, yeah.
And Greg Jafria.
And Greg Jafria.
Yeah. They had the white costumes.
Oh yeah, they were basically, I think, put together by Casablanca Records
Yep.
as the antithesis to Kiss
Yep.
at the time. So they were like, well, we got Kiss, who's like in black leather and this, scaring parents. Let's have another band, and they were really good.
They were good, and they had the logo that if you turned it upside down, it said Angel. You turn it back up, it says Angel. It was like one of those. I don't know what they call that. Some
I don't
kind of
know.
art.
It was
Not an artist, but
that's pretty cool. Chris, you remember your first show?
My first rock concert?
Yeah.
Kiss, 79.
Kiss 79.
Yep.
Pine Bluff.
Pine Bluff.
Pine Bluff.
It was. And I told people all the time, you remember Johnny Cougar and the Zones? Oh, they booed him off the stage, man. It was horrible.
It was. But you know who we saw play the drums for the first time, and he's a phenomenal session drummer, and he drums for everybody now. Is Kenny Aronoff.
Oh,
he
yeah.
was John Cougar's
yeah.
drummer, and it was hilarious because the drum set they had a small stage, obviously, and his drum set was sitting sideways on the stage, and his ride cymbal kept falling, like somebody's cutting it from below, and he's like trying to catch it and put it back on every time. He did it like
funny.
6 times the whole time while they were playing.
Yeah.
Maybe the 6 songs they played.
I literally saw the most brutal fight I've ever seen, and I've seen a bunch of people fighting
At concerts. Imagine that.
But it was they played Firehouse, and Paul Stanley had on that Kiss Fire, that little piece of crap plastic Kiss Fire Department helmet on, and he finishes on Firehouse, woo, and he just sails it out in the crowd. Well, it comes right towards me and Lance. We're in the stands, but I mean, it's coming our way, and right in front of us, 2 guys catch it in midair on either end.
And the fight was on.
Well, they just look at each other, man, and all of a sudden one of them just hauls off and just wham, punches that dude, and they start duking it
Unnecessary.
out. Yeah.
Unnecessary
And
roughness.
some little guy grabs the helmet and takes off through the crowd where they didn't get the helmet. I never will forget that. That was pretty awesome.
That's funny. My first one, August 2nd, 1980, was Van Halen.
I was there.
And that was a
You were
great
there.
show.
Monty was there. Monty took me and Steven and the Clegg twins.
I got dropped off by now listen, my parents let me go by myself. I basically got dropped off there by my sister and brother-in-law at the time. And, and I've told you this story before. I don't know if I've told it on, maybe I did, but, when we were talked about how I got into the Van Halen encyclopedia and you made some disparaging remarks about,
Well, I mean, truth hurts.
air quotes, truth. But the reason I knew that is I remembered who the opening act was, and they were terrible. And it was a group called the Cats.
I do remember the Cats. I do, but I don't remember what they played, but they were terrible.
They were terrible. Well, they weren't worth remembering. And, if any of the guys are listening and you want to, jump on here with us and defend the fact, just try to defend the fact that you didn't suck, because you did.
This was Van Halen?
Yeah. No,
1980.
1980, the group that opened for them. On that tour.
Yeah, and so in '79 they had the fabulous Grinaldi brothers, and they were terrible too.
I think that was the thing Van Halen did. They tended to get, with the exception of maybe like an autograph that would go on and have a single, usually their opening acts were fairly forgettable. And I think that was Eddie, from what I remember.
Yeah, we can't speak ill against the dead, Butch.
And I also think that it had a lot to do with their manager, Noel Monk, at the time, who also, I think, had a big hand in who got to be around the band and who toured with them. So, and I think that was by design. They didn't want to happen to them what happened to Black Sabbath when they opened for Black Sabbath. Which is Black Sabbath getting...
Black Sabbath opened for Black Sabbath? How do you do that?
No. Let's see. Let me go back. I'm going to listen to this and see if the Logic Train ran.
No, it didn't.
It did not. Okay,
derailed
so
completely.
let me read.
When Van Halen opened up for Black Sabbath.
Thank you, Monty.
There you go.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
And they were, just blown away. And they of course, at the time, Ozzy was on his last legs with them during that part of his career. So.
Well, it's the same thing happened with Bad Company. They were headlining, and Damn Yankees opened up for them. Mm-hmm. And you had Ted Nugent, Tommy Shaw,
Jack Blades. Yeah,
Jack Blades. I mean, good Lord, what are you thinking? And they jammed. And Bad Company was still a great show, but the whole highlight of the evening was Damn Yankees for me. I mean, I thought
listen.
it was better.
I've seen Damn Yankees before, and I'm trying to think of that concert bill that they came with. It was Jackal, Slaughter, and then Damn Yankees. And by far, Damn Yankees were just...
See, 1 out of 3 is not bad.
No, 1 out of 3 is not bad. I probably wouldn't have gone to the show otherwise, but but it was a great show. And I remember some of the other bands that used to come through a lot, and we mentioned this before. It's like every 6 months, 38 Special would show up again, and always went.
Oh yeah. We're Southern guys, man.
Yeah, you got to go see it. But what was really funny is one of the weirdest bills I'd ever seen put together for a concert package. He had 38 Special, and then, opening right before them was Point Blank, which, okay, that makes sense. But then opening for them was Iron Maiden, which is like, one of these things is not quite like the others. So,
yeah.
But it's still a great show, and it did
Maiden
kind of
concert's
introduce,
awesome.
you know.
Point was a Memphis band, weren't they?
I think so. And they had that one. They had a song called Nicole that in '81 was just all over the radio here. But Chris, what other concerts do you remember?
I mean, we've mentioned the Molly Hatchet. That was awesome.
That was a great show.
Aerosmith in '87 was a great show.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a good show.
I don't remember who opened for him, but I watched Steven Tyler. They were playing Back in the Saddle, and they had ramps on either side of the drum kit.
Yeah, I was at that show.
He gets on his microphone stand and he starts running around that stage, and I bet he ran around it 50 times. I'm like, I'm fixing to watch this dude drop dead, and he's still singing. I'm like, holy smokes, man!
You know, that was when they had gotten off, drugs,
Yeah.
and had started getting into fitness.
Yeah.
And he was
He was in good shape.
They were.
Well, you look at it, and of course, at the time, I was thinking, oh, this guy's kind of old. I don't even know if he was in his 40s yet. At the time this happened.
That's right. And he still doesn't look 75.
Well, as a matter of fact, I have tickets to go see them in Tulsa in, I think, coming up this November.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Who's opening for him? Do you know?
Black Crowes.
Didn't you guys?
That'll be a great show.
That's going to be a good show.
Yeah,
Me and Ryan are going, so
That'll be fun.
So didn't y'all go to see Rush in Tulsa?
Oh yeah. That was
the last tour, wasn't it?
That was the last tour, and that was 2015, and that was a fun trip.
40th anniversary tour.
Yeah, and they were great.
And they didn't have an opening act.
No, they didn't.
Did
it was
not
an
need it.
evening with Rush.
Man,
It was
like
awesome.
2.5 hours.
Yeah.
3.
Yeah.
And
3 hours.
And it
Monty,
didn't
listen,
seem
man.
like it. It just flew by.
It was cool because they started with their latest release, and then they would change albums. And when they changed albums, the stage changed.
And they'd go backwards.
And they went backwards. And
Yeah.
the last set they played was off their first album, and it was just a velvet curtain with a 3-piece drum kit and the three of them playing. It was incredible.
Monty, what's some great concerts you remember from back in the day?
all time, Van Halen, the first tour. Literally album out 78. They're headlining in 79.
Yeah.
And the Barton Coliseum, and I remember, I was like, man, I'm going to get one of these T-shirts. I want one of those Van Halen T-shirts.
Yeah.
Waited all summer for them to come, and then they weren't selling merch. I'm like, what is the deal?
They weren't selling merch?
No, there was no T-shirts.
That is weird.
Talk about disappointment.
I bet, man.
But, David Lee Roth, I don't care what, this is just my opinion. It was the best frontman ever.
He was. Look, people don't give him credit. If you go back and, yes, on the last few tours he did, the guy never quit smoking. Could he hit what he did? No. He couldn't back, when he did those later tours when they reunited. Wow. But back in the day,
He's unreal.
I'm telling you,
was fun,
if you
man.
go on YouTube, search Unchained 1981 Oakland Coliseum, and you will see why Van Halen at that time was the best band.
Well, and he was just
the
the
world.
greatest frontman.
He was.
But you know who he patterned himself after?
Jim Dandy.
Jim Dandy from Black Oak,
Arkansas, yeah.
And he actually went up to Jim Dandy when they were playing the Whiskey. Black Oak, Arkansas was playing the Whiskey, and David Lee Roth actually came up to him and said, "Hey, do you mind if I film you? I want to film your moves."
Yeah.
And Jim Dandy was like, "No, boy, go ahead, dude. Film whatever you want to film." He didn't care. And they asked, Jim Dandy, he's like, "Hey, were you really mad that he stole all your stuff or whatever?" And he's like, "Well, he didn't steal all my stuff, but I'm really flattered that he used a lot of my stuff."
Yeah, he did.
He was like really flattered about the whole thing. He made no bones about it. But,
Yeah.
Roth. Okay, so back to the concerts. At Van Halen 79, that's the best. Cinderella opening for AC/DC. Cinderella was great.
I saw them open for Bon Jovi in '86, and they were great.
Here's the sad part about Cinderella. Okay, they got lumped in with a lot of the
hair bands,
the hair bands that were coming out there.
Hair band.
And they tried to market them like one. They tried to dress them like one, but especially on the Night Songs was pretty much a straight ahead rocker album. But was the second one Bad Seamstress Blues?
It's the Long Cold Winter.
Long Cold Winter. That's when you were like, oh, these guys are good.
Yeah, the
Bad
real
Sisters Blues is,
side of them
is probably
came
my
out.
favorite Cinderella
Yeah.
song.
But that whole first album, you hear it's like AC/DC-ish.
It is. It's very much
You know,
AC/DC.
and it's great songs.
But man, when they
rock it.
started going more blues oriented, that's when I was going, okay, these guys are actually very talented. And I've gotten to see them one time. They were opening for David Lee Roth in the mid '80s, and I never got to see them.
Just a great show, though. Their
Yeah.
show was really great, and that's back when you had shows.
Yeah.
When you actually had shows.
That was probably one of my best concerts, honestly. And I mean, it was just for the fact that Cinderella opened for Bon Jovi, and it was a Slippery When Wet tour.
Yeah, that was a
that
huge
album
tour.
was huge, and yeah, it was a great show.
Here's the thing about Bon Jovi. I saw them open for Rat, and they blew Rat off the stage. I've seen Rat twice, and Rat's one of those bands that I love their studio albums.
I do too.
I love them. But live, they just weren't great at all.
Man, that Rat from the 80s, my all-time favorite band.
Yeah.
I love everything that they did.
Yeah. Oh,
I
listen.
can listen to it now.
I can listen to it.
forever, working out, whatever.
Yeah. But live, man, and I don't know if that was just a one-off that both times I saw them, they just were off. But, live, I don't know, man. They just didn't translate as well.
I tell you.
Of course, I also think cocaine may be,
cocaine's a hell of a drug.
It's a limiter.
yeah. And
It's a real limiter.
because you think you're great.
You don't realize it at the time, but it's a real limiter.
But I'll tell you one band that I really, really liked in the 80s, and I got to see them twice, and that was Triumph. Absolutely one of the best shows I've ever seen.
And we've discussed this.
Yeah, I
and
know.
and Monty was really into Trump, and I've never really listened to him.
Man.
And you turned me on to another band. I said I was going to mention it tonight when we were doing best albums, and that's UFO. Guys, if you like rock,
Go into just
go
good,
Oh man,
good rock. It's just they were an English band. I saw them open for Ozzy in '82.
Yeah.
And just was blown away. And that's when I got into them, because I was like going, and we're going to stop right here and take a break, but we're going to be right back. This is The Retro Show with Butch and Chris. Hey guys, we just want to thank you so much for being a part of the Retro Show podcast, and we'd like to invite you to be a part of our Producers Club. So what does that mean? That means that when you go to retroshow.net and you click on support the podcast, you can be a producer, which helps us basically keep the lights on around here. So for a mere $3 a month, you can help support the Retro Show podcast, just like these beautiful, educated, well-rounded, have I sucked up enough, probably, people. And they are Chris M., Nancy SMS, Joshua R., Fran A., E.M., Bradford Mason, and Tanya Highland. We thank them and we love them because they support the podcast. And you can too. Just head to retroshow.net and click on Support the Podcast. And now back to the Retro Show with Butch and Chris. These guys are fantastic.
Yep,
You
they're
know.
good, man. Really good. I tell you, the best band I think that I've ever seen live.
What did you do before you came in here?
What?
Never
What?
mind, man.
Hey,
Never
what?
mind.
What?
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
The best one I've ever seen live, as far as music goes, and I'll see them anytime they come. The Doobies.
Man,
The
was
Doobie
that not a
Brothers-
great show?
I've seen them like 3 times.
I've
and
only
it's
seen
just-
them once, and that was with you at Riverfest.
Yeah, great show live. Just
I
they
think it was
played.
2006 or something like that. But that was just a phenomenal show.
Love the Doobies. Love them. Got tons of them in my Spotify. Just a
Yeah,
total
yeah.
Doobies mix. And I don't like the Michael Montgomery stuff as much
No,
as I do
no.
the without him.
No, I absolutely agree.
I like the earlier stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's still, man. You go see them live, and they play.
Reproduce.
Now
Yeah.
they did actually, I think, start touring again with Michael McDonald and the other. What's his name?
Michael McDonald, not Montgomery.
Yeah,
He's the country.
Michael-
He's a country
John
guy.
Michael Montgomery. Yeah, he was in the Doobies. Yeah, just go with it. You know, it's
Charlie Daniels was.
Boy, I can play the fiddle.
Okay, I'm glad you brought up Charlie Daniels because that was my second concert that I ever went to was Charlie Daniels.
He's
band.
great in concert, or he was great.
And that was on the Full Moon tour, and that turned me on. Like, this guy rocks. He may be marketed as a country. This guy rocks.
So in
What a talent.
Oh yeah,
1987, my cousin Stephen, we are 2 months apart, and we travel well together. And he calls me and says, "Hey, Leonard Skinner is kicking off their 10-year tribute tour after the plane crash.
yeah,
And they're starting the tour at the Charlie Daniels Volunteer Jam in
I remember
Nashville.
that. Yep.
We're going." And I'm like, "Okay, we're going." So we take off and drive to Nashville, and the only people we know that's going to be there is Leonard Skinner
Yeah.
and Charlie Daniels. And we get there, and I saw Stevie Ray Vaughan for the first time.
Amazing.
I fell in love with Stevie Ray Vaughan.
I'm jealous
that day.
right now because I
it
never
was
got to see him.
Unbelievable. That is my pinnacle for guitar players is Stevie Ray. It has been since that day.
Yeah.
But Charlie Daniels came out and played a heck of a show.
Yeah.
Saw the Marshall Tucker Band was there. It was a cool deal in the amphitheater in Nashville. But yeah, it's too bad that Charlie's gone.
Yeah.
And if you got to see him, you know what we're talking about. If you didn't, I really apologize.
Well, I have a Leonard Skinner story, and that is they were on their 77 tour,
Oh wow.
and me and Clay Gwynn had tickets, and we were playing football against our rival, Russellville, in junior high. I think it was junior high. No, it wasn't junior. Yeah, it was in junior high. We were in 9th grade. And we got killed because they had Ted Chenault, this running back. I don't know if you remember him. Oh, my God. He ran over everybody. It was like 40-0. We just got killed. Clay's all mad. He's like, man, he's whatever. I'm like, dude, we got tickets to Skinner tomorrow night. Cheer up. And then like 30 minutes later, KAAY back in the old days.
KAAY.
Yeah, that was like they had 100,000 watts. It went everywhere.
Yeah.
And they played hard rock at night. And they came on, and we were listening to it because, that's what we listened to. And they were like, the Leonard Skinner concert has been canceled there. Our plane has crashed. I'm like,
man.
I'm sitting there just going,
What?
yeah, I'm like in complete shock and just like,
Man.
it was crazy. But you know how much the tickets were?
Oh, what, $6?
$6.50.
$6.50.
Yeah, our Van Halen tickets in
Van
80
Halen
was $7.50.
Yeah, they were $7.50.
$7.50.
Listen, I remember when I got mad because Rush, when they came in 82, were charging $12 a ticket. And I got mad because
Kiss had already done that.
That's over
$79.
$10.
Yeah, that's over $10.
Kiss had already done that in '79. The tickets
Yeah.
were $12, and that was outrageous.
That was Gene Simmons.
Yeah, that was Gene. Hey, say what you will about Gene. Gene knows how to turn a profit.
He does.
He knows when to jack up the price.
Yes, he does. When you're in demand, you can do that. But yeah, I remember a lot of concerts that came through that were, really. The last cheap concert I went to, and remember, Magic 105 used to do their low dose shows.
I'm fixing to underline
and that was
you.
Damn Yankees, and it was
Nope.
$10.50.
Nope. We saw Tom Petty in Verizon for $10. Me and you.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
Because they were trying to sell it out.
They were trying to sell it out.
And I saw Kiss again for $10. I saw them cheaper in like 2009, 2010 than I saw them in '79.
That's insane.
It is crazy because they were trying to sell the
show out.
Did you guys ever get into the Allman Brothers at all?
Oh, I love the Allman Brothers, but later.
I love
in
them,
life.
but yeah, never got to see them or anything like that.
Yeah, so I got to see Derek Trucks play his first show with the Allman Brothers at the amphitheater in Houston. I think
that's
it was
great.
1997. I can't remember the name, but it was like he was 19 years old, and they had just kicked Dickie Betts out of the band.
Yeah.
for being Dickie Betts, I guess. I don't know.
What did he do? He was Dickie Betts.
yeah. But yeah, that was pretty wild. That's a little off the subject, I guess. But
No, it's. Have you heard this podcast? We frequently chase rabbits.
Chase rabbits holes. Man,
Matter of fact, that's going to be on a T-shirt. Two things that's going to be on the first T-shirts we put out, Chris. Like Vikings, and I'm going to chase this rabbit.
yeah.
So, yeah, that's going to be the two things on the shirt.
I tell you, man, a really monumental concert for me, and that's later in life, because obviously he didn't come here ever, was I got to see Paul McCartney when he came here
Yeah.
at Verizon.
I was there.
Dude, that show was awesome.
Okay, let me tell you my story about that because it's really cool. My son Ryan, and for those of you who don't know, I have two sons who have autism, and Ryan is a little bit more affected. Ryan lives with us, and Ryan is a huge music fan.
Yes,
I mean,
he is.
he is my concert buddy, and he's really into like the Beatles, and he really wanted to go see Paul McCartney, and we ended up getting some tickets. They were nosebleed, didn't matter.
Right.
But
I had the best time watching him
Yeah.
watch that show. And let me tell you what, that was a phenomenal show.
it really was.
That
man.
was
It
a
wa-
great
it was,
show.
It was awesome, and Live and Let Die.
Oh, was that not amazing?
It was incredible.
Yeah,
You know how
which might be one of my favorite McCartney songs anyway.
Live and Let Die. You know how it goes. It just kind of live and let die.
And then boom.
Well, every time they
Pyro.
go boom, man, it was just flames from under the stage, just shooting up like 20 feet all across the stage. Man, it was cool.
Yeah, it was a great show.
Really cool.
Yeah, Paul McCartney, great show.
Yep.
Got to see that one. And I remember one that I saw of a band that I'd never heard of before. And went to see them, and I never heard of them afterwards. And
But they were good.
But they were. It was a band. I can't even remember who they opened for, but they were from Australia, and they were called Heaven. And they were a great.
I've heard of that band.
They were a great blues rock band, very much AC/DC like. And it was one of those bands. You know, there were a lot of bands that they threw against the wall in the '80s to see if they would stick. And you know, we could probably do a whole show on just bands that we've seen that never really did anything, but they were great.
Like Rose Tattoo.
Roast, yes. Exactly like that. It's exactly like that.
If you could see me right now, I have this deer in the headlights look. I'm like, who are y'all talking about? I have no idea.
Well,
Well-
Rose Tattoo was that's a big influence on Axl
Yeah.
and Guns N' Roses. Mm-hmm. They're from Australia, and they look like a biker.
Yeah. You know, another
Look
good
like-
Australian hard rock
They like
band.
a 1%er MC club.
Yeah.
On stage.
You know, another great band, as I'm going to chase this rabbit, from Australia, and they about 20 years ago came out,
ABBA.
was Airborne.
Oh,
Yes, they're more like AC/DC.
Yeah, they were very much AC/DC.
you know you're an ABBA fan. Don't lie.
Dancing Queen. Anyway,
What did I get myself into?
we know you're humming Fernando in your head, which that didn't come out great, did it? So anyway, mark
mic on.
at 31 minutes and 27
Check,
seconds.
check.
Yeah, to edit that out. But Chris, any other great concerts you can remember?
Man, I've seen a lot, and every time I get on this podcast, I get a blank,
Yeah,
you know, and I just can't. That Molly Hatchet and 38 Special that we talked about,
Yeah.
that's monumental.
okay. I'll throw another one out there then. And this is for everybody here to go around and talk about. What's a band that you wish you could have seen that you can't now?
See again?
Leonard Skinner.
Yeah,
Skinner. Well,
Skinner.
I mean, what's a band that you've never seen
Oh, never seen?
that you'd like to see, or maybe you don't have the opportunity to see now?
You know what? I've never seen the Stones.
Yeah,
I would like to see the Rolling Stones, just because it's the Rolling Stones.
right.
You know, and I could have
I'm
went
about
on
them,
that Steel
yeah.
Wheels tour, and I didn't.
Yeah,
And I
that
should
was yeah. Monty,
Leonard Skinner. I had tickets.
you
Never
had
saw
tickets.
him.
You never saw. You know, I've
Never
never seen
saw 'em.
Skinner either. I know you have. haven't
I've
you?
seen them 3 or 4 times.
See, I've never
But
seen
not the
Skinner,
original.
But
not the
band, no.
original.
And that would have been with Steve Gaines was in the band at that point.
Man, I was telling him earlier, I've been watching, I watch a lot of YouTube, and I was watching reaction videos to Freebird from like foreigners,
Yeah.
like from Great Britain or something. And it's funny to me because they always stop. They'll stop it and they'll talk about it a little bit, and they'll stop it and they would just stop. And say, this is just so mellow. I just love it. I mean, the piano is awesome, and da 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 da. And I'm sitting there the whole time going, "You have no idea what's coming."
Yeah.
And then that song takes off, and when
And then
it
it
takes
takes
off,
off.
and they are jamming, they're like, "This is unbelievable."
Yeah.
You know, they're up there, got three people playing lead, chasing each other.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Incredible.
You know, the record company passed on them because that song was too long for a single.
Yeah.
And then I think was it Capricorn or something?
MCA.
MCA. Signed them. And they were able to play that song.
Yeah.
It was Capricorn that passed them up.
Do you know what they played for the MCA executives?
Working for MCA.
Working for MCA. That was an
Want you to
immediate.
sign a
We're going to sign this contract right now, boys.
That was Ronnie Van Zant all the way, man.
Yeah.
It's just the way he was.
You know, y'all know, if y'all have listened to the podcast before, I watch a lot of documentaries, and I've watched every Leonard Skinner documentary.
Yeah.
My cousin Steven, you got to watch this documentary. It's okay. This one's great, but the one where they talked about, the band members were talking that Ronnie would show up to Hell House, which was their practice area out in the middle of the swamp. And, you better have something when you come to practice. And he said he'd sit over on the couch and they'd start playing.
Ed King.
Huh?
That was Ed King.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they'd start playing.
Yeah.
They'd start playing. And he'd just say that. And he said, all right, I'm going fishing. He'd go down the dock fish, but he could still hear what they were playing. And Ed King said he'd be down there about an hour and he'd come back. He'd have all the lyrics.
That's insane.
Song was done at that point.
Huh?
Song was basically done.
Yeah, it was done. And like the producer
Genius.
come in to the recording studio, and he kept saying this and saying that and saying this, and Ronnie just come over and got him by the arm and took him outside and put him in his limo.
No, it was Simple Man. They wanted to record Simple Man.
Who was?
Leonard Skinner wanted to record Simple Man, and it was Al Cooper.
Yep. That's right.
He had been in Blood, Sweat, and Tears. And He got on their tour with The Who, their first
And
tour.
he took him out to the car and set him in the car and said, "We'll call you when this is done."
Yeah. I mean, that's like their first album. I think it was pronounced. I think it's unpronounced. But it's like nobody does that. I mean, he's like this big time producer, and the band loves the song, right? And they're like wanting to record the song. And so Ronnie's like, "No, this ain't happening." He's like, "No, see ya."
I think the moral to this story is don't mess with a Florida redneck. I think that's what it is. Yeah.
There's been a lot of good bands come out of Florida.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
Quite a
Georgia.
few. Yeah.
Oh. Well, I mean, Johnny Van Zant was a huge influence on me.
Yeah.
The songwriting and stuff.
Yeah.
He was just his band himself. He had a good band.
Yeah, he did.
Himself.
Oh, the
Johnny Van Zant.
Brickyard
Yeah, Johnny
Road.
Van Zant. That was it, 85?
Even before that, I mean, he had It's You. He had this song called It's You. He had a great band.
Brickyard.
well,
You got to admit, Brickyard Road is a classic.
It is.
It's good.
And going ahead and chasing that rabbit of Skinner offshoot bands, Rossington Collins.
Like
Man, that is some good stuff, too. If you get a chance to look up that on Spotify, add that to your playlist.
And I'll tell you, for you folks out there that follow Southern rock, if you're looking for new Southern rock, Blackberry Smoke.
Oh, without a doubt. Blackberry Smoke.
Don't go there. Don't go there. I see you shaking your head, Monte Curtis. Now, they've changed a little bit, but they got some good music.
Man, I'm just going to say this. Charlie Starr he's probably the best slide guitar player
Right.
since Dwayne Allman.
Yeah.
And he's an unbelievably talented musician. He's unreal.
Well,
You know where his roots are?
Yeah, bluegrass.
Bluegrass. Do you know where Jerry Garcia's roots were?
I do not.
Bluegrass.
You're the Grateful Dead guy.
I like the
I don't
Grateful
argue
Dead.
about Grateful Dead with you.
Yeah. We're just
But it
going
was
to take your
bluegrass
word on
also.
Grateful Dead because, and I'll tell you, is another guy that has come on the scene in the past few years. And we're going to stop right here and take a break, but we're going to be right back. This is The Retro Show with Butch and Chris. It's just blown me away as Marcus King.
Oh, I love Marcus King.
That dude can wail on a
He
guitar,
can,
man.
dude.
Listen, we saw him a couple of years ago, and we were with a younger couple, and I worked with this young lady, and she's about Brad's age. And she said, well, me and my husband have these extra tickets. Would you and Debbie like to go? I said, yeah, we'll go. And he broke into War Pigs and did a amazing cover of War Pigs. And of course, they're over here. They have never heard War Pigs in their life. They're 30 years old, you know.
Right,
and I'm like over here going, yeah, baby, you know.
Chris used to get scared about War Pigs when it came out.
I'm throwing the horns and everything, you know, when they're doing it. So
We've talked about that, man. Your late night 8-track rolling. Good Lord.
Crank to the max. Chris, please turn that off. I'm so scared. I don't like it.
When you went to Fayetteville, Dad always told this story. He said, Mom and Dad, him and Mom were laying in bed in there, and he's like, something's wrong. What is wrong? And Mom says, there ain't no stereo playing, Jay.
there ain't no stereo playing.
Boom, boom. Yep.
There wasn't the boom. That was like people turn on the noise machines now.
Yeah.
All right, I got a band for you guys.
All right.
Black Country Communion.
I've heard them. They are good.
Yep.
So it's Joe Matamasa,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Glenn Hughes from Deep Purple.
Amazing. Who was in
Jason
the Dead
Bonham.
Daisies until recently.
Yeah, that's right. Jason Bonham on drums.
Right.
And there's some other guy I don't know.
And some other guy you
Some
don't
other
know.
guy I don't know, but that's a pretty good band.
Yeah.
They rock.
But
Joe
I mean-
Bonamassa is ridiculous.
Oh, he's insane.
I've actually
He's
seen him
insane.
in a concert.
Have you?
Yep. Saw him at Alto. And
I had a
remember,
chance to
somebody
go
was
for
looking-
free because, you know, we played
That's
some
how
of
I
his stuff. Go ahead and just let you folks know. I work for a public television station, for a PBS station, and they were sponsoring an event that he was headlining, and I couldn't go because I had something else already.
Don't be modest, Butch. He's Big Bird, ladies and gentlemen. He is the Big Bird.
I didn't want to say anything. Look, man, just because I've said I've seen Snuffleupagus, that doesn't make me Big Bird.
Hey, I saw a meme the other day, and some dude was like, can you believe all the cookies this Cookie Monster with his eating habits is wasting?
It's like he ain't really eating them at all.
Yeah, it was funny, man.
You know, we were talking earlier, though, about bands that we wish we'd seen that I've never gotten to see before. And I think for me, that would be the Cars.
I
Yeah,
love
man,
the
I
Cars.
do too.
Love the Cars. Love the
Yeah.
Cars.
I would have loved to have seen the Cars.
I tell you somebody else I would have loved to have seen, and I'm really sad that I didn't, but I would have loved to have seen Prince in concert.
Oh, dude, absolutely.
Prince is phenomenal.
He's
Yeah.
yep.
Maybe one of the best Super Bowl halftime
Oh, my
performances
gosh,
ever.
dude.
Pouring
the
rain.
guy, have you seen him play the guitar?
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm
unreal.
talking about.
He's
That's
unreal.
it. They asked Eric Clapton one time. They said, well, how does it feel to be the greatest guitar player in the world? He said, I don't know. Ask Prince.
Yeah.
I mean, that came from Eric Clapton.
I mean, it's not up until recently that I saw him play the guitar, and that's after he passed away. And I'm
Have
like,
you seen
oh
him?
my gosh.
Have you seen him play the bass?
No, there's no
well, the
telling.
man can play everything.
Yeah.
He walked out. There's a video on YouTube. You can find it, but he's playing
Yeah.
Play That Funky Music White Boy, and he's playing the bass, and it jams.
Unbelievable.
Well, he was a talent, man.
He was.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have seen him.
Okay. What's the last concert you went to, Chris?
Me, Government Mule,
Government Mule?
at the Hall in Little Rock, and I highly recommend.
Man, the
Hall.
Hall has been bringing us some really good
Yep.
acts.
That's a great place to see
Yeah,
a
it
show.
is.
I like it in the Rev Room. I like small venues.
I do
now
too. I
better
love
than
small
than
venues.
the stadium
Yeah.
stuff.
You remember we went and saw Boston, and they took what they did is like we have like in Little Rock they have a good sized arena. They call it Simmons, or it's whatever bank has the money to sponsor the name. But what they have started doing for some of these shows is they'll like half the size of the arena and turn it into a theater. And we saw Boston there, and that was an amazing.
That was really good, and that was the only time I've ever seen Boston.
And they were great.
They were great.
They really good.
That's a special band.
Yeah. But
That's one band that I wished I could say that I saw the original band.
I got to see the original band in '93 because they had recorded an album without Brad Delp because he's having vocal issues. But he had recovered from those, and they brought him on tour in support of that album. So he was singing all the old stuff, and he was,
Was this Third Stage?
no, this was Walk On.
Walk On.
And they had a guy named Fran Cosmo that sang most of the high stuff on that one. And by the way, Walk On is a great album. If you want to go listen to it, it really is.
It is, but it delves away from the original Boston stuff, and that
Yeah.
those first two albums they're monumental albums
They
in my
are.
life. Also,
they are.
They really
They
are.
But
A lot of
Monty,
it's because of this guy.
yeah. Monty, what's the last concert you went to?
I actually went to see. I'm drawing a blank. The keyboard player from Styx. Who was he?
Dennis DeYoung.
Dennis DeYoung.
Yeah.
Like he had put together his own Styx.
Yeah, and
Where I live in Peachtree City, Georgia, they have an amphitheater, and they have concerts there all the time.
Yeah.
And I can take my golf cart. So if I'm having a few spirits, then I can drive my golf cart home. But
Okay,
I saw him.
let me just
wait a minute.
disclaimer. A few spirits for me and Butch is not the same as a few spirits for Monty. Just saying.
just saying.
I'm a little more spirited than these two.
He's a spirited young man, isn't he? But yeah, so Dennis DeYoung.
It was unbelievable.
Dennis is great. I saw him in a joint built with Night Ranger about 2 years ago. And he was phenomenal. Actually, I've seen Dennis a few times, and he's the one member of Styx that I've actually met.
You know what, man? They played, and he said this to the crowd. He said, "We are going to play the Grand Illusion album now, without any breaks, without any talking. We're going straight through the album." That's what they did.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm like, it was the sound in that amphitheater is excellent, and it was just
Listen, Dennis at his age can still sing and hit every note
sound like the album.
that he used to. I think he actually sounds better than he used to. It is amazing that a man at his age can still hit some of the notes that he does.
He sounded like the album.
Yeah, because as a guy that's a tenor, I'm telling you right now, my voice is going. You know, and it takes me a while to warm up now. So
Well, I think the best concert weekend I ever had was literally was driving home. Pink Floyd was going to play in Dallas in April, and this is like February, and I'm like, I'm going home to buy Pink Floyd tickets. I'm going to see Pink Floyd, and it was the Division Bell tour. And
How much were the tickets?
I can't remember. I know how much the ones I'm fixing to tell you I bought were. But Cindy, we were newly married. It was probably 95, 94, 95, somewhere around there. And we were laying in our one-bedroom apartment at the time in the floor listening to the stereo and just talking. And the Eagles were playing. We were playing the Eagles and she said, if they ever get back together, I want to go see them. And I'm like, yeah, that's not going to happen. But I'm driving home. Literally, the Pink Floyd tickets were going on sale that Saturday morning, and they announced that the Eagles were having the Hell Freezes Over tour, and they were playing July 3rd in Dallas. And I'm like, can't do both. So I gave up Pink Floyd.
You gave up Pink Floyd to take Cindy.
But
See, that's love.
I have a really good friend of mine that at the time his dad owned a liquor store close, and they got Budweiser was sponsoring the Doobies and Foreigner and the Doobies. He gave me free tickets on Saturday night to see Foreigner and the Doobie Brothers in Little Rock, and we got on a plane the next morning and flew to Dallas and watched the Eagles in Texas Stadium, and that was a pretty cool concert.
Wow.
That was a cool concert weekend. I mean, I had a lot of music, so it was fun.
I remember one band that I saw that I knew I would like them, but I didn't know I would be blown away by, and that was Zach Brown Band.
I saw Zach Brown.
He lives about 7 miles from me.
Oh, really? Well, we saw him.
I ate his restaurant.
Well, no, I mean, he's best friend. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. I saw him at an amphitheater in Northwest Arkansas and had great seats.
The Amp.
And he closed with Van Halen. They did Hot for Teacher. They did Def Leppard, Pour Some Sugar on Me. And then they closed with Rage Against the Machine, Running with the Bulls.
Wow.
Which is like...
That ain't Zach Brown.
You don't expect that from Zach Brown.
He's got an alternate band, though, that they play. What is the name of that? And they jam. I mean, it's hard.
They're good musicians.
They got out and listen. There's a Zach Brown release that Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters produced. I
think this may be the one I'm talking about.
That is an EP that they put out.
Heavy is the man that wears the crown. That's the chorus. I know.
Yeah, but it is. It's very much not your normal sound there.
No.
It was pretty interesting.
I saw him in the most brutal conditions you could possibly see.
Oh,
a
yeah.
concert in. My cousin Stephen, his daughter was, I think, turning 21, and she wanted to go see Blackberry Smoke, and they were playing at Cass Mountain, which is up above Ozark, and it's on top of the mountain.
Was it raining then?
It was misting.
It was
And
cold.
47 degrees.
Oh,
Dude, we stood and we like to never got in there, and we're standing in line, and Blackberry Smoke is already playing, and they're like holding people up, checking everybody for knives, guns, whatever.
Well, you got to remember where you're at.
I did.
You're up on the Mulberry. That's around Franklin County.
situational awareness.
Yeah, but we got in there, and of course, right when we get in, Blackberry Smoke, that's it, good night. They go off the stage, and Zach Brown, we lasted 2 songs, and I'm just sitting there going, this is brutal. I was freezing, and Mary Beth said, I'm ready to go. And I'm like, hey, all right. And I mean, I about trampled her.
Look at the time.
The truck.
Hey.
Yeah,
Oh, look at it.
woo.
Too bad we can't stay. I remember that, Zach Brown was one of those bands that I saw that it just blew me away when I saw him. I expected to be entertained. I didn't expect to be blown away by it.
What's your favorite Zach Brown song?
You know what, man? I really like that first album that he put out and their cover of Jolene.
I don't think I've heard that. You?
Man.
You got a favorite Zach Brown song?
No, I don't.
I really like Chicken Fried.
Chicken Fried
That would be the one that I'm most familiar with, but I don't listen to him a lot, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
He lives 7 miles from your house. Y'all could be friends.
Yeah, you could be buddies, man. You could say, hey, Zach, come on over, man.
Be to the same,
You could show up at his house with his Zach Brown shirt on.
he brings an entourage into our favorite restaurant, and his best friend, they went to Fayetteville High School together. Fayetteville's like 9 miles from Peachtree City. And his best friend is an Lebanese dude, and he owns a Lebanese restaurant, which everybody loves because his food is unbelievable. It's like one of the best hot spots in Peachtree City. But every time he comes in, he's got his entourage, and they've got his own room back there in the back.
Yeah.
Who's Zach Brown?
Oh, I felt pretty
exactly.
good, but now I feel awful. I'm sorry, I had to make that joke. But guys, thanks for being here today. This was a fun conversation.
Well, thanks for having me.
I don't know that we accomplished anything.
We didn't, but that's okay.
It was awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed listening.
Listen,
and you got to meet the man, the myth, the legend,
ladies and gentlemen, Monte Curtis. Listen, man, I have video evidence of you having long hair and an earring. So, there's right there.
I've got worse incriminating evidence.
Hey guys, retroshow.net is where you go when you want to find out all things about the podcast. Thank you for being here. We love you. Have a good one.